Hey, welcome to Bluejay Banter, sponsored by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally and right here on our YouTube channel. Thanks so much for joining us. We are live, so make sure you hit that subscribe button down there. Also, the like to kind of share this with all of the Blue Jay fans and help us out as much as you can. As I said, we're sponsored by Equitable Bank, the Bank of Blue Jay Banter. Been a loyal sponsor for many years. President Doug Nodgard just got back from New York yesterday, where he, you know, had a great time. It looked like, well, pictures I saw, Dougie. And then West Pacific Dental Group, Dr. Robert Hogan, big Jays fan. Make them your dentist. They're my dentist. Do a terrific job. And then Infusion Brewery, home of the Let It Fly beer, what we'll talk more about is in the upcoming weeks. Tim Kruger, Ross Ferrarini, Zach Weaver, our producer. This is kind of like we remember we used to do a selection show where we went to Maristar and did it there. This is kind of going to take the place of that a little bit. We're going to talk brackets. I've always said if you do a sports talk show this week and you don't talk 95% NCAA tournament, man, what are you doing? I mean, seriously, the whole world's talking about it. Everybody wants to know who's in, who's out, who got the best draw, who didn't. So we're going to talk plenty of Jays. We're going to talk plenty of where they're seated, kind of postmortem on the Big East tournament. And then later on, all the three of us will do picks, and don't hold us to them because, I don't think any of us have done that well. Have you done well lately in a bracket, Ross? Recent memory.
Oh gosh, no. I typically finish I usually very middle of the pack. I've
The
never.
the people I that's why I tell my wife, she goes, I don't know anything. I said, trust me,
Yeah,
those
it
people
doesn't
do the
matter if
best.
you don't know
Yeah.
anything.
No, absolutely. The more you know, the worse you get. I like about every I don't know, three,
For
four
most people
years.
that don't know anything, the more you just pick teams and like basically colleges and universities that you recognize, probably the better you do. I mean,
Yeah. And now that if
no,
you just follow the seed lines
yeah,
somewhat as you get down toward the end. Um, I every 3, 4 years I have a really good year and I challenge and I cash in some of these pools, but very seldom. I mean, most years
yeah.
I'm toward the bottom. Everybody goes, look at you toward the bottom. What can I tell you? The best team that was a number 3 seed got beat first game. All right, I got him go to the Elite Eight. What can I say? So we'll look into that.
Yeah, it's hard to pick, the big upsets too. I typically struggle with that. The only one that sticks out to me that I've really picked right as far as a big first round upset, I picked that was the COVID year. I picked Oral Roberts over, I think Ohio State was the two that they beat. That's like the only time I've ever done that.
I,
Every time I try to predict that otherwise, it usually falls flat on its face.
I did
Might
have
be a good year
Ohio
beyond.
winning the year that Creighton made the Sweet 16. I did have Ohio winning that game, so that's my
It'd be
one in recent memory.
it'd be a good year being Earl Roberts again this year. Now they got a bad draw, but we'll talk about that later. So, Roscoe, did you see the Big East tourney semifinal, Creighton Xavier? I know you were out of
I
town.
got to watch. I got to watch a little bit of it. I was at a kind of a wedding
That,
welcome drinks thing,
that was
and
enough. You didn't need to watch much.
yeah, well, I was in California and I went I kind of snuck out to the bar area and I asked the guy to turn it on and I saw the score and I said, "Oh my God." Um, and so I sat there for about 5 minutes and watched the rest. So I don't know much of the specifics about the game. It sounded like Xavier just could not miss, which that happens from time to time. So I don't know much else about it outside of that.
Um, I'll say this because Mac said it in the press conference. The two players sitting on both sides of him. He just said, "I don't know what happened tonight, but we didn't come out with any energy." And that to me was number one. I mean, we looked
Hmm.
flat footed, slow, looked like we didn't care. It was
Wow, that's surprising.
obvious. And the fact that Xavier took it to us, then that just gets the snowball rolling and then
Right, right.
then you start pressing. And I mean, they came out in the second half. I thought the second half generally was pretty even. I mean, they made some hay. We had our walk-ons in. They still have their starters in, which I didn't understand, but they made a little bit of hay there. But it was a pretty much even matchup the second half. But you're right, Xavier shot well. I don't think that was the key of the game. The key of the game was their defensive intensity. They got every single loose ball, every rebound,
Yeah.
we were just out hustled, just totally out hustled. And really, to me, The only guy that I say had a good game was Kalkbrenner. Other than that, we just didn't seem to have it at all.
Yeah, it's funny that the final ends up being the 1 and the 2 seed who, ironically, before the tournament started, it seemed like nobody was picking either of them to get to the final, much less win it.
Yeah.
It seemed like UConn was the beyond trendy pick. People were still talking about Villanova could make a run. I heard a bunch of people on the Creighton train, and then of course it just ends up being the top 2 seeds that play each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, if you aren't on the Marquette train now, come on.
Yeah.
They're so damn good. They're just really good.
And it's really just, I mean, they have a lot of pieces, but I mean, the more and more you watch Kolek, I mean, you just fall in. It's hard to. I've heard from a few Creighton fans that say they're like, "Oh, I can't stand Kolek," and I'm like, "Why?" I don't think he's that demonstrative
Um,
out there. Or I mean,
no, he's not. He's kind of like Brian Mullins back in the day. The guy just put his nose down and played hard, but
yeah.
yet he was annoying. You
But
know what I mean? Like he did nothing wrong. He just
right. I just love his game. I just fall in love with his game the more and more I watch it, and he just, it's like the more I've watched them, you can't convince me that there are really, quite honestly, that many better or more important guards in the country than him.
no, I agree, totally agree with you. I just I I vote for player of the year, and they try to put 15. I put him in there because
Yeah,
I just think he's that. I think people are going to see over this next weekend and the weekend after that. I think just what kind of a player he is because
right,
they got really good getting to the 2 seed. It gives you an easy first round game and a game you should be able to handle. It's a tough game, but a game you should be able to win in that second round. They got a
right.
great chance to get to Sweet 16, and we'll talk more about that later. Yeah, and I found it kind of ironic with Mac. It was always like, okay, who are you gonna have Kalk on, Fremantle or Nunji? And he always went with Fremantle, and that always kind of seemed to work out. Okay, and now when Fremantle's out of the game, it's like, well, he's got to go to Nunji, and you know, he kind of we kind of did some different things again, kind of like we did the first game against Villanova with Dixon. Kind of kept Kalk back a little bit to kind of guard the rim, but Boom was getting open. I mean, we were once he starts hitting shots, Kunkel can do his thing, and then Nunji occasionally knocks one in, and it just snowballed, and Trey was way off, Nemhard was off,
Mm-hmm.
Kaluma was off. I mean, it just Baylor got a little bit of foul trouble. I mean, he was fine, but it was just one of those nights, and
Yeah.
like Bill Self said before he got in the hospital. Bill Self said, I don't.
Confidence in that semifinal game last year. That's a team that ends up making the Sweet 16, and
Yeah,
it's certainly not. It stinks to lose in that fashion. Don't get me wrong, but it's not indicative of how the next couple of weeks might play out.
yeah. That's why the NCAA committee stopped doing the last 10 because they did a study on it, and there's no correlation to how well you play at the end of the year or how crappy you play, how you do in the NCAA tournament. So they just said this is ridiculous to even count this because it doesn't matter. You mentioned Providence, so I just want to touch on this briefly. Uh, the Ed Cooley to Georgetown thing is real, people. I have talked to some inside people at Providence. It is real. Now, the question remains I haven't got answered yet. And of course, I guess nobody knows, but is that why Providence has laid 3 eggs in a row? Is it permeating through the team that Ed is looking to move on here? Inside source tells me that Cooley thinks, I mean, part of the reason is that he thinks they've reached peak and he can't get beyond that. I think that's garbage, personally. I think he can go as far as he wants to go at Providence. Secondly, some family things. They kind of looking maybe to move. They want to get a new place to live.
Doesn't his daughter goes to Georgetown, doesn't she?
I think so. But Ed, as one person put it to me, Ed is the mayor of Providence. I mean, he can do
Right.
whatever he wants here. He's sat here. There's something to say about that. It's like Mac not going to Ohio State. He's got a great gig here at Creighton. Why would he want? Why would you want to give that up? I just still think
Yeah.
it's a silly notion. Another person said to me, "Well, apparently $4 million isn't making him happy enough." So don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's real. It's real, and it sounds like they're just waiting for Providence to get done, and then Ed's got to make the decision. And I don't know.
I think it's a weird one just because it's still in conference. So it's
it is.
you're going from a top team in our conference to the worst team in our conference, but on the other side of that coin is the tradition of Georgetown, and the university itself is an elite American institution. It just is. It carries a certain cachet, and yeah, maybe he wants that. That's I do think there is something too. Some guys can stay in the same spot. Some coaches can stay in the same spot for decades on end. I do think a lot of coaches do, grow stale in their current situation, for better or for worse. So I'm a little bit more surprised that Patino hasn't been announced at St. John's yet.
Well, they're in the tourney. I think they'd wait. Um, yeah, and one thing you kind of look over Georgetown too, like you mentioned, you kind of forget about this when you're just talking about Georgetown, but it's Washington, D.C. Okay. You get it going there. Okay. A lot of these senators and representatives are huge sports fans.
Yep.
And, you get to start your head coach, you get to start rubbing elbows with the, top dogs in the Senate and the vice president and stuff like, it's kind of a big ego thing, right?
And he's got the personality to
absolutely
navigate that world too. It would be,
maybe he thinks he can affect change.
He could
for
be,
whatever he wants.
If he ended up taking that job and started really winning there. He could be an absolute star in coaching and the talk of Washington D.C. He could really turn into something big.
Right, and the other thing too, on the flip side of that, it's like when we had Ron Bailey on, and Ron said, it's still that secretive society. It's kind of breeds not positivity, and I don't know. I can't believe Ed would put up with that very long. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the Providence Ed Cooley to Georgetown rumors. Somebody floated a rumor about Dana. Somebody floated a rumor about Mac to Notre Dame, and it's just not. I'm sorry. It ain't happening. Do you think that it just doesn't make any sense to me, Ross? Does it? It doesn't make any sense for me to Mac to leave here. Mac's not going to coach another 15 years. He's
yeah. I don't know. I have no idea. I've seen a couple random tweets about that myself. It doesn't make sense to me on sort of the outside, but we've seen crazier things. But I don't foresee it. I don't foresee that happening. But
and he wasn't named when they kind of threw out the list of names they had. Now maybe they talked to Mac because talked to him, and then D-Rock's on the list, so they want to talk to him about D-Rock. I don't think that's a job. I don't think it's the best fit for D-Rock either. I don't know. Maybe.
I am curious if D-Rock's going to go somewhere. I would be surprised if he's back at Drake, but maybe he's going to be. I don't know.
And then where does Tucker go? There's rumors there too. So we'll have to see. Be a lot of fun off-season talk. I'll tell you that.
Yep.
So then the Jays go to Selection Sunday. They get selected a 6th seed. Pretty much an upset. If you look at Bracket Project, most people had them as 7. I think committee really messed up here. They put Texas A&M as 7. They had to push somebody to a 7 if you're going to move Creighton to a 6. I looked at that all weekend long, and everybody else's resume was just clearly better than Creighton's. I don't. At Texas A&M, I don't understand. They're the one team. I might have pushed Kentucky back before them. I just don't get what they saw, what they negatively. A lot of people are saying there's more to it than that. There's buzz going off on the committee last year. A lot of those members are back on this year, and hey, they got egos and feelings too. And some of them say, hey, they just stuck it to them. I don't know, but at any rate, Creighton got a 6 seed. Going to Denver, man, that's as good as you could hope for, because it was looking like Greensboro or Albany or Orlando.
God, I for sure thought it was Albany or
Sacramento. They would have been a 7. They were. Here's the deal: what people don't understand, they were a 7 seed, locked 100% go to Sacramento, because they can't play Arizona because they got that new rule. They want to avoid second round matchups of the season.
Wait, so who is this again?
Go to Arizona. What's that?
Who is this again that you're talking about?
They put in a new rule this year. they're going to try their hardest to avoid potential second round matchups that happen during the season. So in other words,
gotcha. Yep.
they couldn't go to Arizona's region, they couldn't go to Texas region, and they couldn't go to Marquette's. They were stuck. They were going to go to UCLA in Sacramento. That was done deal. So now they got to 6, and that opened up all kinds of possibilities. Yep. So I think Denver is really good for Creighton. I mean, the closest, God, that's the closest site we've had in a long time for the NCAA tournament.
I will be there, my friend.
Well, Ross, you're a world traveler. So that's a Friday game, about 3:00 for the second afternoon game. So
that was the only one. Des Moines and Denver, I said, are the only ones I'm going to do. Number of friends that live in Denver, number of folks that are going, some former players. I'm going to drive out there actually, but it's it'll be fun. Yeah, and then
when you go Thursday night?
Yeah, I'm going to go Thursday. I'm going to hope that obviously things are going to get interesting, because then I can't imagine if we do somehow get through this weekend and make it the second weekend, I can't imagine there are direct flights to Louisville. So that's going to get interesting how you get to Louisville potentially. But
was that about is that 12-hour drive maybe?
Yeah, gosh, that sounds about right. I mean,
so it's drivable. I mean,
yeah.
Flying to Louisville is not going to be. You'd be better off flying into Cincinnati and driving over.
Right.
Or even Columbus. Columbus got a big airport. Be better there. The connections are better there. That'd be about a maybe 3-4 hour trip, but still, then you might as well just drive. I don't know. Yeah, I'm thinking about second weekend if we make it to go, but we'll just have to see.
Mm-hmm.
At any rate, so matchup, they played North Carolina State. North Carolina State somehow avoided the playing game. I have no idea how. They were easily, them and Pittsburgh were the two worst teams, resume-wise, on that board. I had North Carolina State out for a good chunk of last week. I was vacillating between Oklahoma State. I gave them
Vandy and Dayton in the non-conference.
Now, murderer's row there.
Well, no, it's not. I understand it's not murderer's row, but those are teams that are in the upper.
Those are bye games. Those are all bye games.
What do you mean,
except
Dayton?
For Vanderbilt? Yeah, but you would buy Dayton's that game.
Oh my gosh!
Absolutely. Creighton would never do a home and home with Dayton. Are you kidding me?
Never. Well, they played Dayton they played Dayton on a neutral, but
that was probably in a tournament.
Furman was a bye game, but Vandy wasn't.
Vandy was in a tournament, but there you're talking two teams that didn't make the NCAA tournament and one that barely did.
They killed Duke. They beat Miami. So it's not like there's nothing there. I understand.
Look at their wins away from home.
I know that. I get it. I understand your sentiment, but
our mock committee was very hard on them. Very hard on them. They hadn't beaten anybody other than Duke and Miami, and they hadn't won really away from home. And if you watch them, they're all over the place.
No, and I
they can look good. They can look good at times.
Right. No, I agree. They're an interesting team. I watched them a few times. I don't know if you saw some of the comments that Brad Brunell made, the Clemson coach. But he basically said, without explicitly saying it, we went 3-0 against one of the teams that has a worse resume than us and got in.
Yeah.
And he's got a point. I mean, this is, this Clemson team, they've got they have the exact same record. Okay. And this Clemson team, that's a team that beat Penn State in the non-conference. So they have a better non-conference win than any of NC State's were. And, they also beat Duke. They beat NC State 3 times. They beat Pitt on the road. So yeah, I would be if I were a Clemson fan and we're sitting on the outside looking in, and somebody in our conference that we went 3-0 again that has the exact same resume that's probably slightly worse than ours got in, I'd be upset too.
I hope the fans realize now after that head to head isn't the end all be all. Now look, here's the deal. And in our mock committee, I went to bat for Clemson. I said, hey guys, and they just didn't beat NC State. They crushed NC State 3 times. Okay. Yep. And I went to bat for them over that and those other wins you mentioned. Several of my committee members said this, look, I get it, but it's just a bad matchup for them, just like Penn State's a bad matchup for Illinois. And you're not going to penalize Illinois because they lost to Penn State a couple times. So I get that sentiment too. Sometimes it's like, and my explanation was it's like back in the day, Villanova was a bad matchup. We were a bad matchup for them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And beat them twice, beat them handily twice. Well, that didn't jump us ahead of Villanova. You know what I mean? And the big thing with Clemson, they had 4 epically bad losses, 166 and above, one even at 300 something. I mean, those are really, really hard to overcome. Plus, this committee, if you want to look at one thing, you can kind of look at, pick out that they did level across the board. If you didn't play anybody in the non-conference, you got hammered. You either missed the tournament, like Clemson and Rutgers, or you got punished on the seed line, like Texas A&M. There's a couple of the teams
playing tough competition in the non-conference or winning against tough competition, because there's a difference.
Just tough competition in the non-conference.
Okay.
Like when you're sitting, Clemson was sitting at like 333. That's 30 spots from the worst team, the worst non-conference in the country. That's bad. Plus, their regular strength of schedule wasn't even in the double digits. It was 100 something. You're playing in a power league and your schedule's still that. And plus, they had an unbalanced schedule. They didn't have to play. They only played the tough teams once. So that flips it around when, it's like the Big Ten those years. You got to look at it closely. You see somebody 13-5, you go, well, wow, they're 13-5. Like the year Nebraska was good. Yeah, but they didn't play. They only played the top 5 teams once,
right,
instead of twice like the other teams. So it's a big difference. But
well, the more I look, I mean, I guess Mississippi State had 12 losses, 21-12. NC State was 23-10. But I'm almost a little surprised that NC State, not only did they get in, they even skip out on the playing games.
That was a big shocker.
You got a Mississippi State in the playing game. Mississippi State beat Marquette. Mississippi State beat TCU. So
I had them a 10 seed. I thought their resume, they beat 3 top 25 net teams, Mississippi State. I was kind of surprised that a lot of people were pushing them down. Same with Creighton and Arizona on the road.
Yeah.
USC has the one UCLA win, and that's it. And now Arizona State had some other flaws on their resume. I get that. Okay.
Yeah. USC beat Auburn in non-conference, but that's other than that. Yeah, that's really about it.
Yeah, it's just surprised. I didn't think that. I thought both should get in, but I was surprised by how people thought so much more highly of USC than they did Arizona State. I think if they were going to go shirt skins today, I'd take Arizona State. I just think they're more talented.
God, Hurley has just lived on the bubble. I mean, it seems like, I guess he had 2 down years in a row before this year, but 2020 year, well, I guess that would have been COVID. 2019 year there on the bubble, 2018 year there on the bubble.
I could see that team going on a run too. I could see them getting hot and
they just have
through a couple games.
That's another one, a weird deal with a former unbelievably high IQ, just a tremendous college basketball player, Bobby Hurley, is their head coach. Comes from a coaching family, and they just play the most reckless style. It's mind-blowing to me.
Yeah. And the two brothers couldn't be different. They don't really care. That you don't really think of them on the defensive end of the court, Arizona State, yet UConn, that's kind of Hurley, Dan's MO, right? Like he's into the defensive, hard-nosed, rock fight games.
Night and day, more UConn,
just weird.
More disciplined.
He's more, I think Dan's more like his dad. You know what I mean? Like as far as the coaching philosophy.
Right.
I think Bobby's probably a little more wide open NBA style since he played in the NBA. That probably is it too. But anyway, back to Creighton. So anyway, NC State. So what worries me here is the guards. Zach, you got the names and the stats, right?
I do, yeah, and I know Ross knows the names as well. Terquavian Smith averaging 17.5 a game, and then Jarkel Joyner averaging 17 a game. Those are their top 2 scorers.
Very dynamic. We've got Trey, who's a tremendous defensive player on a guard. I kind of went off on the post game a little bit, Ross, because Baylor didn't have a very good. Nobody had a good game, but Baylor really was bad on defense against Xavier. God, they were just going right by him, play after play. And I made the statement. I said, this probably should have been said sooner. That sometimes Baylor's a little bit of a defensive liability out there, and we've got to know that we've got to help sometimes on those drives because Baylor's just not quick enough. Now, on the other end of the floor, he's a mismatch a lot of times for us, right? But that's going to be key that Baylor plays well.
Oh, couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, this is it's interesting. I think I go back and forth on our team. I think we've proven that we can win games or at least be in games when we're having poor shooting nights. So we'll see how that translates. I feel like we've got a little bit of, I heard somebody say this earlier. I was listening to a podcast, and I heard somebody say about Kentucky. I wouldn't be shocked if they lost in the first round to Providence. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw them in the Final Four. And I kind of feel the same way about our team a little bit. It could go. It feels like it could go either way. With how, just the inconsistency maybe a little bit. So I don't know. We'll see.
I'd be really disappointed if we lost this first game. Really,
yeah. I think yes, I agree. I think we're a bad matchup for NC State. We're one of the best teams in the country against.
Get a wide open three. A couple times we've kind of struggled with the press. We're not Purdue like. Don't get me wrong, but
Tim, you know who they got on their team that plays kind of like Sharif like minutes, like 8 to 10 minutes a game, doesn't do a ton. Do you remember that? You remember Greg Gant from Providence?
Yeah. I knew that. I'd forgotten, but I remember when I watched the game. Yeah, now that you mention it, yeah.
Interesting.
But at any rate, I think glad you brought him up. He's going to be a huge guy against that press too, because we're going to have to bring guys out the bench if they're going to keep pressing us, right? And to give a guy balls, and Reef, obviously one of the quicker players you're going to see, can get by guys and if he can make good passes, good smart plays, could be a real key for us. So, offensively, we got to get that ball inside. And they foul. If I remember right, they foul a lot. Remember the games I watched there.
On Ross talking about just shot selection in general. Terquavian Smith, their leading scorer, shoots 37% from the field. So that's averaging 17 points and shooting 37.7% from the field.
Horrendously inefficient.
Yeah.
So that's what we want. And then second thing comes with that. Again, getting back to this Xavier game, we got to get on the boards, man. We got crushed on the boards the other night.
Which is surprising because it feels like we don't get out-rebounded a ton like that.
Baylor wasn't effective rebounding even. Like Xavier kind of had a plan. Xavier, look, they played great. Miller, give him all the credit. He had a great game plan, and hats off to him, man. They played great. But anyway, so North Carolina State, Creighton out in Denver, altitude, don't think it's much of a factor. And then if we were to get by that game, here we go, Baylor Bears. Now, it's not your mom and daddy's Baylor Bear team. They've really struggled here lately. God, they look just terrible the last two games.
They're not as good. They're not as good. They're not as good defensively this year as they've been in years past.
Yeah, just to me, they don't seem as just watching on TV, and you got to be in person to see it. But they just don't seem as long as they were. You know what I mean?
No, they're not. They're not as big.
Guards can still score. Don't get me wrong.
No, they're not as big. You're right. Yeah. They're not as big and long this year. They do have Keontae George, true freshman guard, is an unbelievably good player. Can really, really score the basketball, really good pace to his game. Adam Flagler, who's been there for a few years now, can still really play. LJ Cryer, same sort of deal. Jalen Bridges. I mean, they've got some talented guys on that roster, but they're not. Yeah, typically when you think of Baylor, you think at all like their entire roster being these 6'8" guys with 7-foot wingspans. They don't have near as many of those as they typically do.
Yeah, and I just from a pure fan standpoint, I love it when we play the second day. I like watching that whole first day and getting into it and and then here comes this Creighton game. I just love it. I hate having us play it like 1 o'clock on the first day. Then it's like it's such a letdown if you lose and it's over and
Yeah,
you
right.
almost can't get into those night games and you're into it. And I just it's my favorite 2 days of the year, Thursday and Friday, and
I'm with you.
gonna take my Zach's gonna join in. I'm gonna post it right behind us here. I'm gonna write these down. So as we go through these, so we're gonna start over here on the upper left quadrant. That would be the South region. Obviously, we don't know who Alabama's playing, but come on. All right, so I'm just going to write down the winners for all. So I assume all of us are Alabamish on that first game.
Yep.
Yeah, just write in the 1 seed for all of them because I'm not
All
going
right.
against. Yeah.
8-9. We got a Maryland West Virginia matchup. West Virginia team that's certainly been more down than up. A Maryland team that you cannot trust away from home.
Yeah,
But this is a neutral game. It's not a road
the
game,
West
so-
Virginia, the West Virginia thing. It's like the quote unquote metrics and Ken Palm and all these places have loved them all year. I always see guys tweeting about West Virginia could be sneaky good, and every time I watch them, they lay an egg. So I don't know what to think about them. They're a hard team to figure out. Maryland's been bad away from home. I actually like Maryland. I've watched them a few different times, and I like their team. I just that's a hard one. I really don't know. That's a real big toss up for me.
We had this discussion in our selection committee when we were discussing Maryland. I said, yeah, but sometimes teams that struggle away from home and they get in the NCAA tournament, they're in a neutral environment, they're just so much more relaxed and they play better,
Yeah.
But I'm going to go Maryland.
West Virginia is currently a 2-point favorite.
Yeah, I'm going to go Maryland. Ross, you're going Maryland.
That's fine with me. Yeah, I can't
Zach?
decide. So
I also went Maryland when I was helping my dad fill out his bracket.
All right. Interesting matchup, 5-12 matchup. San Diego State, Charleston. What do you got the point spread there, Ross? I've got a
San Diego
sheet
State, Charleston is a 5.5. San Diego State 5.5-point favorites.
Wow, that seems like heavy to me. I'm taking the upset here. I'm going Charleston. Charleston, really, most people thought they should be in the inclusion for an at-large bid. That's how good they are, and yet they weren't the number one seed in their tournament. They had to win it, and they went through with flying colors. I like Charleston here.
See, I'm against you, Tim. I don't think that they've played anybody with San Diego State's physicality and mental toughness defensively. I think that might be a little bit of a wake up call. They seem to really rely on their shooting at Charleston, and they're good. They're skilled, a bunch of skilled kids, but I don't see it happening. So maybe Zach can be the
oh god
the rubber
no,
match.
I'm writing everybody's down, so don't worry.
Oh, you are.
Can pick your own. Yep,
right.
yep. Zach.
I went with San Diego State on this one for
All right.
same reasons as Ross, just length, athleticism, and defensive physicality.
I will point out to you, too, that the Mountain West usually lays an egg in the NCAA tournament. All right. Next game, I think the way Virginia's playing and the fact that they had the huge injury, I think this is going to be a close game. Virginia and Furman. I'm torn here because I never like to put two upsets in the same pot.
Yeah. Wait, who's hurt for Virginia?
Oh, you would ask me that, Ross. He's the transfer. He was a transfer from a mid-major.
Vanderplas. He was from Ohio.
Yeah, Vanderplas.
He's from Ohio. Yeah.
Yeah, he's hurt. He's out. He broke his hand. And they,
right.
Ross, that was the worst offensive performance I've ever seen by a team in that championship game against you. They looked awful.
Yeah, for a
without Vanderplas.
For a 4-13 game, that's only
Billis said, Billis just said, I just want to throw this in here. Billis said during that game a couple different times, man, without Vanderplas, he can step out and pop and hit a three and put pressure on the defense. Now that they don't have him, they don't have anybody like that. He goes, I don't know where their scoring is going to come from.
Yeah, Virginia is only a 5.5-point favorite for that. For a 4-13 game, that's a really low line. Yeah. I don't know. That's a hard one. That really is a hard one. I could see an upset, or I could see Virginia squeaking by. I don't know. That's a tough one. I think I'm just going to default to maybe the upset there. Take Furman.
Good call, Zach.
I got Virginia in that one.
Yeah, I do too. I'm going to stick with Virginia. Betting tip: I would definitely take the 132 under. I think that's incredibly high. Virginia, great defensive team, and then then we got Creighton. Are we all on Creighton here?
Yes,
I am. Yes.
All right. Baylor, Santa Barbara. If it was somebody else, I would look for an upset, but I'm going Baylor here.
Baylor, yeah.
Yep.
Their guards are too good.
Missouri. This is an interesting game. Missouri, Utah State.
That is an interesting game.
Absolutely stunned that Utah State's favored here.
Yeah, you don't see that a lot on these types of
great
games.
3-point shooting team, the best in the country.
I'm torn here. I really am, because I think Missouri gives up a lot of threes in their style of play, but that's a hard one. I don't know which way you guys lean.
Those games are in Sacramento, right?
I don't know.
I think so, because I think Arizona had to go to Sacramento because Denver got filled up with yeah.
I thought you said Creighton as the 7 would have had to go to Sacramento, and if
they would have, because
if Arizona's the 2, they wouldn't have been able to.
Right, 7-2, right. But Creighton's a 6 now, so they play the 3. They won't meet Arizona until the 3rd round, so then that's permissible.
Oh, okay. I was just going off of if they were a 7. Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind. Okay.
Missouri. I'm going to go Missouri.
I'll go Utah State. I like 3-pointers.
Utah State, yeah.
I liked the Utah State team all year. These last 2 games in the Mountain West tournament drove me nuts because they were so inefficient. Everybody going Arizona here, right?
Yep.
All right, let's finish out this side. We got all of us had Alabama, Maryland. Alabama, I assume.
I got Alabama.
Yep.
We have all kinds of choices here. Who do we gonna choose to advance? I had Charleston, Virginia. I'm gonna go the upset. I'm gonna go Charleston.
Yeah, I think San Diego State gets the Sweet 16, but
yep, I'm with Ross.
Alrighty, and then Creighton, Baylor.
I think we can beat Baylor.
I do too, and I have this little crackpot theory that this is revenge for the 3-6 Baylor win over the Doug McDermott senior year Blue Jays. So I'm reaching. Creighton. I'm a homer.
It's reaching, Zach, but okay. Hey, you know what? We've got a Baylor on our team too.
That's true.
This next game, Arizona, I'm going to go. Everybody's probably going to go Arizona here, right?
Yeah.
All right, we got Alabama against a various amount of teams.
Oh, Arizona, Creighton.
Yeah, baby. Alabama.
No, I'm Tim. You're like moving way too quick. I don't think Arizona's just a write-in on that game at all. I thought we shot the ball unbelievably poorly against them in Maui.
No. I haven't come to Creighton, Arizona yet.
Oh, why did I think? Oh, you were doing the second round. Oh, okay, my fault. Yeah, my fault.
Alabama against San Diego State or Charleston.
Alabama.
Yeah.
I'm going to Alabama all the way. I got Alabama in the Final Four, probably the final game. Creighton, Arizona.
Gotcha. I got ahead of myself. I think we can beat Arizona.
I think,
especially in Louisville, they're not going to have. If that game was if we were playing Arizona in Vegas and they had kind of a home crowd, it'd be a lot more difficult. I think we can beat Arizona there.
I'm going to say the train ends there. I'm going Arizona.
Yeah, I'm going Arizona as well. I really like that Arizona team.
Yeah, I think I agree with your point. But on the other hand, man, did we have to expend a ton of energy just to stay with them. God, Ballo had Kalk's lunch. Sorry. Now, Kalk was already starting to come down with the illness at that point, so I don't know. But anyway. Alabama, Arizona, which would be App or Creighton. Alabama, Arizona would be, oh, what a game. That should be a Final Four game.
Yeah, it's hard to go against Alabama at this point, but
It is.
gosh, I don't know. I can tell you what, the the Brandon Miller stuff has clearly not affected them. So
All
if
right,
they can
I'm
get to this point,
Alabama. Zach,
yep,
I got
I'm with you.
Arizona.
I'm going
Wow.
Arizona. I'm going Arizona too,
I
just
like
because I
Kirk
like
Kriisa
them.
too.
I like their whole team. I love their coach. Yeah, Alabama's looking like the team to beat right now.
Kirk Kriisa
But
has some Kolek in him.
Yeah.
yeah, okay, let's go down. We got to move this along a little bit here. Okay, let's go down to the lower region down here. Purdue obviously getting through the first game. This is I think the worst draw of all time for Florida Atlantic.
Yep.
If they got anybody else, I would
Yeah.
jump all over them.
That's
Yep.
one of the best first round games there is, Florida Atlantic Memphis.
Yeah, Florida Atlantic, you haven't seen them. Grown men on that team. Let me tell you, they're they're really good. They got a horrible shaft seating here. I'm just going FAU because I hate Memphis.
I'm going to go Memphis.
Yeah, I was going Memphis as well.
Okay, we got what a game. Duke and Oral Roberts. Everybody in the country's on Duke right now, and I'm telling you, that was the ACC they were playing against, okay? I'm telling you, this Oral Roberts team. How isn't Duke center like 7-4 too?
If
7-3?
if
What a
Oral
matchup we
Roberts
have.
wasn't playing Duke, Duke looks really good right now. Their defense is really elite. I think they're peaking at the right time. I don't think there's any way Oral Roberts knocks them off.
What a matchup. 7-4, 7-5. You got 14 feet, 9 inches of player going against each other there. It's because I love them. I'm taking them. Oral Roberts. Zach?
I got Duke.
All right. Tennessee, Louisville. Man, this region is full of upset possibilities.
I'm going Tennessee.
Tennessee.
I know Ziegler's hurt, but they're too good defensively. I don't think Louisiana's gonna knock it off.
I'm reluctantly going with Tennessee.
Yep. Tennessee across the board.
Although I'm loving getting that 10.5. Kentucky, Providence. This is going to be interesting.
That's a hard one.
Didn't Hopkins play Kentucky?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Both teams are very Jekyll and Hyde-ish. I'm going to go with Kentucky though.
I'm going to go Providence. Just hoping that they show up. If they show up, they'll win.
Providence as well. I like
yeah,
Providence
if they show up, they'll win. But if they show up like they did the last couple games, they're in big trouble. Kansas, Montana State.
Kansas State, you mean?
Kansas State, Montana State. Yes.
I actually do
K-State.
like Montana State. I've watched them a few times, but I'm going to stick with Kansas State.
Yep, K-State.
All right, Michigan State, USC. I got Michigan State.
And Michigan State as well.
Yeah, throw me down for USC.
We just talked about them, Zach. How they're overrated.
I know.
It's the first contrarian pick by Zach. The first contrarian Zach pick. Marquette, we're going there, right?
Yep.
Purdue in that next game.
Against Memphis or FAU winner?
I have FAU, but you guys have Memphis.
Everyone seems to want to fade Purdue, but yet they keep winning. They're kind of like Marquette in that regard. That's a hard one though. I think Memphis can absolutely beat Purdue.
Yeah.
You going Memphis?
Yes.
I'm going to take FAU.
I'll take Memphis.
I think both teams will pressure the hell out of Purdue, and they've shown that they can't handle pressure. We have Tennessee and Duke
Duke.
or Oral Roberts.
Duke.
I think Duke gets by. Duke is a Sweet 16 bound team.
I hate. I'm a regular bracket. I'm not taking Oral Roberts. I can just tell you right now because I hate then having to take Tennessee in the next game. Providence and Kentucky. Ross, you took Kentucky, right?
I took Kentucky. So
Did you
that would
take
be
Kentucky, Zach?
I took Providence.
Oh,
so it would
that's
be
what I thought. All right.
Kentucky, K State, or Providence, K State. And I think Kentucky's going to get the Sweet 16. Shut up a lot of the Cal haters.
I got K State.
That's who I got too. We got Michigan State Marquette. I think we're all Marquette lovers, right?
Yep.
I am, but there for some reason I like Michigan State and some of their pieces. I think if that's the second round game, that game's gonna be really tight. I'll take Marquette, but just by the hair of my chinny chin chin. I think Memphis is gonna get it done. I think Memphis is gonna beat Duke, Elite Eight.
Okay. Zach.
I'm gonna go Memphis as well.
Wow. And then we got Kentucky / K-State versus Marquette.
I think Kentucky. I think Kentucky's gonna get there.
I like K State.
I'm riding. Oh wow! So we have a triple here. I got Marquette. Zach, Ross, Tim. All right. Going to the final four. We got Memphis or Tennessee versus a plethora of teams at the bottom. I'm going to go Marquette.
I'm going to go with Memphis. I think Memphis has got a lot of really good pieces, and they've just flown under the radar a year because of their conference. That's a good team. I'm going with Memphis.
How about you, Zach?
I'm gonna go K State. I like the K State team a lot.
Our first triple pick there. All right. Let's go up to the upper right here. And again, let's move this along. We got Houston.
Iowa, Auburn.
Yeah.
That's another hard one. Iowa's
very, very difficult game to pick right here.
Iowa can look really good and they can look really bad. I think I'm gonna go with Iowa though.
I am too.
Yeah, I'll go Iowa.
I just this is the worst matchup for Drake, I think. I just think it is. I'm gonna go Miami. I would love to see Drake win, but this is a bad matchup for them.
I think Miami as well.
Yep.
Indiana, Kent State. Only 4.5 points. I know Kent State's good, but
I'm taking Kent State. I don't think very highly of Indiana. I don't think they shoot the ball particularly well. I'm going with Kent State.
Zach?
I'm going to go Indiana.
Iowa State, we don't know who they're going to play yet, but who do you think? Think they're going to advance, or you want to take a play-in game?
I would take a play-in game there. I think history would tell us that one of the play-in teams typically tends to get past that round of 64 game, and Iowa State is just so challenged offensively. I'm willing to take one of those play-in teams.
Zach?
I'm going to take Iowa State.
Okay. We got Xavier, Kennesaw. Everybody on the X?
Xavier, yeah.
Yep.
Kennesaw's not bad, though. A&M, Penn State.
That's another hard game.
I think A&M's coming in with a chip on their shoulder. I'm taking A&M. Because I would love to see that next game.
Yeah, I'll take A&M too.
Yeah.
So then we go back to the top. We got Houston, Iowa. That's an easy one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Miami, Indiana, or Kent State.
I'll go with Miami. Although I could oddly see Kent State making the Sweet 16, but I'll go Miami.
I'm going Indiana.
I'm gonna go Miami.
All right. Play in or Iowa State versus Xavier. I'm taking Xavier.
I'm gonna go one of those playing teams. Both those teams are really good defensive. Both those teams are really good defensively. So I don't know.
Zach.
I'll take X. I'll take X guard play.
Okay. Battle of Texas. Great rivalry. Texas A&M against Texas.
I'm on UT. They're looking really really good.
Yep,
I
me
am
too.
too. All right, you got Houston, Miami, or Indianapolis, or Indiana. I mean, Houston. I assume.
Houston.
I'll go Houston. Yeah.
Yep. And then Texas in the playing game or Xavier. I got Texas.
I got
Texas.
Texas as well.
Then Texas or Houston to the Final Four.
I think Texas can beat Houston.
Yep, I'm with Ross.
I'm going to go there too. All right, let's go to the bottom. All right, we're going to start with Arkansas, Illinois.
That's another really hard one, but I think Arkansas will win that game.
Yeah, I'm on Arkansas for that one.
Reluctantly, I am too. St. Mary's, VCU. I got St. Mary's.
St. Mary's, but that's gonna be a really tight game.
Yeah, this one's hard, but I'd say St. Mary's.
UConn.
I'm taking UConn.
I'm gonna take UConn, but I'm telling you again, that is another really tight. That's gonna be another tight game.
Dan Hurley's going to show Patino what he's in for if he comes to the Big East. TCU with the play. Which playing games, by the way? Do you know? Does somebody have that? I don't have that on this board.
The playing game for that
bottom,
is
I think.
Arizona. TCU is playing Arizona State Nevada winner.
Okay. I'm still going to go TCU.
Yep, so am I.
Ross, TCU.
Yeah.
Gonzaga, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Grand Canyon's going to go up in the level of athleticism there. I don't think they're going to handle. Northwestern, Boise State. This is an interesting clash. Again, bet on the under.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. I'm going to take Northwestern. I think they've got two really good guards. Now Boise State's got a couple very good guards as well, but that's a hard one. But I think
like the
Northwestern.
center. I like Boise State's center. What's his name?
Tyson Dagenhart.
Dagenhart. Yeah, I like him.
UCLA. Asheville's not beating UCLA.
Everybody taking Northwestern there, first of all?
Yep, and then UCLA.
All right, I'll go with Northwestern and make it easy. Kansas, Arkansas. Look, we all took the same teams here. Kansas, Arkansas. Kansas.
I think Kansas will end up winning, but my God, that might be an unbelievable round of 32 game.
Yeah.
I think UConn.
Yeah.
I'm UConn on the next game.
Yep, so am I.
Yeah, I'll do UConn.
TCU,
Yep.
TCU, Gonzaga.
I'm going to go with Gonzaga.
I'll go Gonzaga as well.
I will too. UCLA, Northwestern.
UCLA, although Jalen Clark.
Yeah.
No Jalen Clark.
Yeah, but I just think
interesting
they've
for
got
them.
enough. Kansas, UConn.
Whew, that'll be a heck of a game.
Yeah, but I think Bill Self will outcoach.
Yeah,
Hurley.
I think Kansas.
Give me UConn.
Zach, you contrarian, you.
I like UConn's size and athleticism.
I like Zaga in this next one.
Gonzaga, UCLA. I tend to agree with you here, Tim. I think Gonzaga can beat them without Jalen Clark.
I actually like UCLA in this. So
Okay.
that's two contrarian picks for me in this one.
And then we got Kansas, UConn, Zaga, UCLA.
Mine was Kansas versus Gonzaga, and I think Gonzaga can beat Kansas.
I got Kansas. Or are you UConn? UConn, sorry.
All right, let's make it a clean. Let's make it a clean threesome down here in this Final Four matchup. Actually, no, they'd be playing Texas, wouldn't they? So Kansas, Zach, you have Kansas? No, I have Kansas.
Yeah, I have UConn.
UConn.
As much as I hate
Just
to
don't
say
think
it.
UConn. I would go with UConn. I don't think it can sustain this. Like they seem to play 2, 3 good games and they can't get another game out of them. And you said Zaga Ross. All right. So now we have whoever in that game playing Texas. I'm going to take Texas.
Yep, me too.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right. And then the other game, we have the triple threat Kansas State, Memphis, Marquette, excuse me, against Alabama or Arizona.
I think, oh gosh, that's a really hard one. I think Arizona. I think I might
Well,
even
no,
said
no. You got to take Alabama.
I said Alabama's my pick, huh?
Yeah, you got to
I'm
go
kind of
Alabama.
oscillating. I'm kind of oscillating. I kind of want to go back and
You
change
got
it.
Alabama, Memphis.
Yeah. Whew. I guess
That's a
I'll take
1-8.
Alabama. I'll
Yeah,
take Alabama.
I'm going to take Arizona.
I got Arizona as well.
Okay. So the final game of the year is Alabama/Arizona against Texas. Ross?
I'm going to go Texas. I think they've got a lot of pieces.
I cannot do Texas. It would kill me if Christian Bishop won a title. I'm going to go with Arizona.
Yeah, but I'm going Arizona
God, he's
as well.
playing really well, man. By the way. Who are you going with, Zach?
Arizona.
All right, there we go. There it is. There it is right here. I'm going to put it right back here, or
Frame
I
it.
can easily refer to it as we go through the tournament. We will update you next weekend on this show. Next Monday on the show, we'll update the bracket, see how we're doing. Kind of maybe run through another one. All right. So again, 3:00-ish on Friday. And right afterwards, you'll know you're gone. God, Ross, you're never here for these post games. All right. Zach and I will find some slug to do the post game with us. It'd be a great time to have the guy who won the Mike Pfeiffer, who won the thing at our golf tournament, to do a show with us. It'd be a great time to have him do it.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, while we're thinking about it, while I just have 2 minutes left, Bluejay Banter Golf Tournament, we are breaking with tradition. Everybody ready for this? Moving it to Dodge Park.
Wow.
Beautiful clubhouse. It'll be air conditioned. And I know the general manager there really well. So he's doing a great deal for us, and he's really excited to get us over there. So, and it's about the same distance. If you're going to wherever you live, you're going to Shoreline or Dodge Park. It takes 2 more minutes to go to Dodge Park.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you can go to the casino and lose all the money you win on the putting contest afterwards. So we're doing it at Dodge Park this year. Plus, Zach, there's a lot of trees there for you to be under when you mark off the putting contest.
I was gonna say as long as there's some adjustments to the putting contest, I think more sunburned that day than I did the rest of the summer. So
yeah, Dodge Park is all about trees. So there's not a tree you can find one within 15 feet of you at all times.
I'll take it.
Yeah, you like that move, Ross?
Yeah, I haven't been there in forever.
Dodge Park has great greens. Great greens. They always have really good greens. It's a fun course. I think it's a good course for scramble because there are some short holes where the big sticks like you, Ross, can knock it on the green in one on a par 4. But if everybody sprays it, then you're in trouble behind a tree. You can't just hack it out of the rough onto the green. You got to, there's some strategy. Yeah, I think it'd be fun. Plus, like I said, afterwards we can do an after party over at the casino. So there we go. Boom, settled. All right.
Perfect.
So let's go get them, Jays. We need to finish out this season. By most people's accounts, has been disappointing. So we can turn it all around right here. This is what we're going to be measured by anyway. I've already seen Nebraska fans chirping. Did they even get in the NIT?
Nope.
Oh, so there you go. Ross, once before we go, this really bothers me. Think about North Carolina declining to play in the NIT. I think that's Bush.
Yeah, that bugged me too.
That's Bush League. The NIT is a good tournament. And
it sounds like
I'm
they've had
sorry you didn't make the NCAA tournament because you played like crap all year.
Yeah,
okay.
It sounds like they've had a million chemistry issues and things going on this year. They're all just ready to be done.
How many seniors do they have?
A couple. I'm not sure. But the COVID
or
deal
NBA
screws
guys.
me up now.
I mean, I'm just wondering. That's going to be a school everybody's going to pluck transfers from.
Yeah, it's possible.
So, all right. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. Really appreciate it. We are going to be back here, as we said, on Friday evening, about 5:30ish or whatever. Hopefully, we can celebrate with a Let It Fly. Let's go.